All right, hey there, and welcome to Data-Driven Sim Racing. I am very excited about what I'm going to be showing you today. We are going to be at Monza. It's one of the courses that I first learned when I jumped into sim racing, and it's really one of the most common ones. I guess the issue is that Monza has a bad reputation of being one of the easiest to learn and one of the most common in public lobbies, and so anyone who doesn't enjoy crashing a lot usually stays away from Monza because of the chaos that ensues in turn one, and the fact that it's a quote-unquote simpler course attracts some folks who are just starting out, and maybe you kind of want to stay away from that. But folks have found that with things like leagues, that kind of goes away. And so I want to go back to Monza. I haven't been back to Monza in a very long time. Not even on this stream. I think the last time I did it was about 6 months ago. And so I want to enjoy Monza again. However, last time what we did was compare multiple setups against each other in Power BI. How did we do that? Well, we superimposed the two data sets that come out of Sim Racing Telemetry on top of each other and actually showed the differences between the two setups on the same exact track with the same exact car. So we're going to do that again, but I have a little bit of a surprise. And before I get into that, I want to take a second to thank Steve-O, who is a recent follower on Twitch. He is a student in Puerto Rico of IT, and just a huge thanks to Steve-O for following, and also thanks to the Kazakh as well for following recently. Really thank you guys. Hope you enjoy the content, and it means a lot to have you guys express your enjoyment. So thank you. So let's get into it. What we're going to go through is a quick recap of this report. Now, this report is the one that we created the last session, and it shows how you can compare two different lap times, or two different sessions actually, and all of the different lap times against each other. You can see here that our GoSetups gave us 2 quicker laps right here, and actually a 3rd quicker lap right at the end. And so what I want to do this time is, instead of being able to just compare two setups against each other, I woke up with this idea one day, I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago, of using Sim Racing Telemetry's data to almost draw my sessions out on the track. Now, the data that we get is just CSV files. It's just a bunch of, this is basically a big Excel document for those familiar with Excel documents, just full of letters and numbers. But the cool thing is, some of the attributes that they give us are positions on the track, and they call that world position. And when you put them together in just the right way, what you get is this, which is a full track map. But I didn't draw this. I didn't draw this at all. I'm just using data, and the positions on the map, both X and Y coordinates, happen to take the shape of the track I was on. So today it's going to be Monza, but last time it was Nürburgring, which is why you see the shape of the Nürburgring here, or at least the GP circuit, not the full-blown one, although that would be interesting. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have, just like always, a session with the standard setup, a session with the GoSetups, which should make my lap times better. And then we're going to take that data, we're going to load it into Power BI, and we're going to go through the motions of creating this same visual so that you can see your position on track. This isn't just like a where was I on track. If you look closely, you'll actually see that this is the throttle position when I was on different parts of the track. So what I'm showing here is on the straight, my throttle's pinned to the floor, 100%. And then I ease off as I get into turn 1, and I keep getting on the throttle and getting off the throttle and on the throttle, depending on where I am on the track, because I need to prepare for a turn, if you're racing, it would be depending on whether or not you're passing someone or whether or not you're slowing down for traffic, things like that. And not only can you do this for throttle, but you can do it for the brake. You can do it for G-forces. You can do it for damage. You can do it for tire temperatures. It's really interesting to be able to put the actual attributes that you get from Sim Racing Telemetry down on a map as well. So again, a huge thanks to Sim Racing Telemetry for their data. You can download their app on simracingtelemetry.com, or you can download it on Stream or on iOS if you'd like. And basically, what you get is this. If you download it on PC, you can select multiple games if you want. The ones I have, the ones I've completed my trial and actually purchased myself, are F1 2023, AssettoCorsaCompetizione, and Automobilista 2. So we will be hopping into AssettoCorsaCompetizione today. And as you can see, I have several sessions already selected. You can see all of the data from past sessions. You can see charts about them. And I actually like to use these charts a lot because it helps me calibrate my Power BI reports. It helps me determine whether my Power BI reports are correct or not. This is a very easy way to do so. So huge thanks to them. The charts and graphs that come with the actual app are really, really good. I play around with them every now and then just to see actual laps, lap stats, and be able to, again, check my work and make sure that my work is good. But the feature that I use the most is just the export feature, which gives you a CSV printout of your entire session. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go ahead and hit record new session, and we're going to hit start. And it's already waiting for my data. Now we're going to hop right in to ACC. We're going to use a standard setup, run a couple laps on Monza, and then we'll come back, stop everything, download our data, and then hop back in using GoSetups data instead. And once we have collected both of them, then we'll hop back into Power BI here and get our data, updated it, and build the track map visual that I showed you earlier. We'll even throw in a little surprise here, which is how to create and use sectors as well dynamically for each and every track. So they're always there and you can select multiple sectors, or you can just select one sector at a time when you're analyzing your data. Okay, so let's hop into ACC and let's run a couple laps. All right, we are at Monza. We're going to run a couple hot laps with the Porsche 911 GT3R. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead in and select my standard setup. I'm going to click on setups and then load and save. And I'm going to go all the way down. If you haven't used any setups, then it's just going to be one setup available. I'm going to load this standard Monza setup here. Make sure that's what it says up at the top. And we'll head back on track. All right. Let's see if we can do a couple clean laps. Last time had a little bit of trouble at the Nürburgring because it was such a new circuit. Hopefully, since I'm a bit more familiar with this one, it'll be a little bit better. Oh, let me go ahead and turn on the wheel cam as well. Forgot about that. There we go. All right. A little loud here. I'm gonna try to adjust my headphones. That's a little bit better for me. Hopefully it's okay on the stream as well and on the video. Let's adjust this just a bit. There we go. All right, let's head in. All right, so this first lap is going to be just a chill out lap. Still getting used to everything. Again, I have not been to Monza in quite a while. Getting a little bit of frame drop, so hopefully it's not too bad. I'm gonna take it easy. This car is just so squirrely. Oh man. Lap invalidated, of course. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna have to relearn this. It's been such a long time. Something is a little bit weird with my frame rate. I might have to restart ACC. We'll see. See if I can make it through this lap. If not, we'll restart it. Yeah, something doesn't feel right. Could be my talent. My talent doesn't feel right. Nope. There's some weird lag that's going on. So we're gonna restart. Let's try that.
Seeing right front locking into.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I'm seeing that too. Okay, maybe. I think I may have just fixed it, oddly enough. Let's find out. Let's do a little bit of one-wheel driving, or one-hand driving. Let's see if I fixed it. I think that feels better. Does it? I can't really tell. I don't want to waste time restarting, but... let's find out. Probably should not be driving with one hand. No, this feels a little bit better. Let's give it a shot. Okay. We slow down a little bit here and see if we come to a stop, and then... Alright, let's see if we can make something happen here. This is obviously going to be a very slow lap, but we'll see. Okay, I think it feels better. I think my mouse was just in the wrong place on my computer. Or maybe that's just an excuse I'm putting together in my head. Oh, some high speed. Yeah, high speed is when I start to notice some lag, so let's see what we can do. Okay. It's not perfect, but it feels okay. At least good enough to try to put together a few laps. That is terrible. And as we all know, qualifying, you always stick to the right. No, something's definitely wrong with my PC, so... yeah, something's definitely wrong. But we're gonna power through it. We're gonna at least do our couple hot laps. We'll do about 5 laps.
Sector 1 time is good.
Nope. Sector 1 is okay, but Sector 2 is terrible.
Please, Andreas.
Yep, that's track limits, thank you.
Going into Varianti della Roccia.
Yes, that. I don't speak Italian, but I assume that's the corner that I just messed up in. So thanks for that, Jim. And that is an example of how not to take that corner. Did I say earlier this is an easy track? Just want to make sure. I think I said it. It's not. Cut the track, cut the track. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can get a something time. I don't even know what a good time is. I should have done a little bit more research, I guess. I have not found a good marker of when to brake. That's not it. That's definitely not it. I think we're relearning Monza today. I think that's what we're doing. So far, the only lap I've actually put in is like a, what, 2:14? And Monza's definitely a sub 2-minute track, so just not doing well. And this car is just not helping. Oh my god. Why don't we take it a little slow while we relearn everything? Maybe put together a slightly better lap. Alright, we're gonna take it a little slower. Try to at least make it across the finish line without crashing. That would be nice. Okay, so that was a lap. Not a clean lap. Not a good lap.
Last lap was at 153.88.
But definitely a lap. So I will take that. This car hates me. I've come to that conclusion. The more I love it, the more it hates me. We're doing slightly better this lap than last lap. Nowhere near where I'd like to be, but we'll take it.
Sector 2 is 0.43, slower than your best.
Yep. Thanks for that reminder. Oh, mischief. And we're going wide. Yep. And there's me. Doing slightly better than I am now. Let's try that again.
You've just done 154.30.
At least Monza laps are fairly quick.
Off your best. Sector 1's quick. Your front brakes are getting a bit hot.
Thank you. These two corners are just... nope. Ah. And there's a mischief.
Sector 2 time is quick.
Okay, we are a second up. And that's good. Come on. Alright, almost a second quicker. Let's do one more lap.
That lap time was 153.11. That's your best lap in the session. Sectors 1 and 2 are quick. Sector 3 is 0.26 off your best.
No. That's gonna be slower. Yep, there I am. As a ghost. The ghost of talent passed.
Sector 1 is 0.7 off your best.
And I did not brake hard enough for that. I'm just happy I haven't completely spun out yet. That in itself is an achievement. Oh, no. And there goes any chance of this being a good lap. Oh, wait, no. It's valid, and that's all I need.
That was
All right.
154.26.
I'm going to stop right here.
Off your best. Sector 1 is
After I try this.
lower than your best. Sector 2 is 0.28 off your best. Sector 3 is 0.2 off your
Yeah,
best.
let's stop right here. I think we have enough for a standard setup data set, so let's try it. Looks like this camera is a little bit too low. I'll fix that. Hopefully it's better now. There we go. Okay. All right, so we are going to go ahead and quit. We'll confirm. And we're actually going to stop our session. Here's our session. We're going to hit stop. Our data is collected and we're good. So there's Monza time attack, which is the hot lap. And here's our best lap. It's a 153. We see that we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 valid laps and 2 invalid ones. No, we don't want to delete that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to actually quit ACC because I feel like there was a little bit of an issue with frame lag. So we're going to try starting it up again. While we do that, we're going to go ahead and create a new session and hit start. And ACC is going to go through all its cool dramatic theme songs. Should load up fairly quickly. All right, we'll head into single player. We're going to do another hot lap in Monza with the same exact car. And now we're going to use our GoSetups setup. So this is from a company. Their website is GoSetups.gg, where you can go and grab some setups for yourself. They have car and track-based setups that you can choose from. The one we're going to pick is a qualifying setup, which is for Monza here. Definitely don't want to pick the wet setup, although it's very cool of them to include those. We're going to pick a safe, so Monza S for safe, and then our qualifying 2 setup, which is the latest version of their qualifying setup. I could also pick the R setup. That one has more fuel. It's a more prepped for races, but all I needed is to set the quickest lap time, so that's the one I'm going to load. You'll also see that they have E setups here. We're not going to do an E setup. Those are for esports professionals. This is a safe setup, which is more for the average or extra average person like myself. So I'm going to load that setup. I'm going to confirm up at the top that it's loaded. And we'll head back out on track to see if we're better. Hopefully better and not worse. So far, based on our data that we've collected and based on all the reports that we've done, every single setup has given me a better lap time. So I don't expect this to be any different. Let's head out and drive. Here we go. So I think, okay, just had to make sure that crew chief is online, and it sure is. So we'll head back in. And we should be good. Let's go. All right. Okay, so we'll take it easy for this first lap. So I'm feeling more planted, for sure. Except under braking, it's kind of squirrely, but we'll get used to that, I'm sure. Just gonna chill a little bit while I get used to everything. Still trying to remember some braking points here. Does feel a lot better, for sure. It's almost stepping out, no. Oh no. And there's the 911 to remind you that it's a 911. Wow, that's a very different line than I would have normally taken. Yeah, I see that locking too, thanks. Just very. This one isn't as confidence inspiring as the other setups. Maybe I'll need to load a race setup instead. Usually it feels a lot more planted, a lot easier to control. This time it's not really like that. The car again. That was very odd. Trying to keep that tight line here. Somehow faster?
Slower than your best. Sector 1 is 0.31 off your best. Sector 2 is a 10th off your best. Sector 3 time is fast.
That is the game's frame rate just completely going bananas on me, so Thankfully that was a straight. Oh man, that frame rate is just dropping like crazy. I think
Please, Andreas.
I know one possible way to fix. So let's see if we can find it. I think it might be here. So hopefully that helps. If not, I might have to restart, but I don't think I do. Let's find out. It has been a while since I restarted my machine, so that might be causing some issues. Nope, don't go that way. That's a bad way to go. Let's try that again. Oh, one of my cameras seems stuck. Is that the case? Yeah, it's totally the case. One of the cameras is stuck.
Your front's going into River Parabolica.
So we're gonna turn it off. There we go. Hopefully that's better. And we'll head back in. Let's try to put together some laps here. Our machine doesn't seem to be cooperating. Nope, spin. And, yep. That's a spin. I don't think I've been able to put one consistent lap together since I loaded this setup. But I'm sure that's not a GoSetups problem, that's a me problem. Sure am. I think I need a slightly later braking point for that turn. So we'll try that on the next go. But for now, I'm just trying to focus on putting something together. that resembles a lap, that would be most good. Most good.
Sector 2 time is
Try
okay.
to take it easy through here. Just want a complete lap.
That was 152.61. Good lap. That's your best in the session.
Okay. Let's see if braking any later did anything for us. No, not really. Starting off slower. Maybe we can do something about that. Maybe not. We'll see.
Two tenths off your best in sector 1.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Okay, we're gonna go down into second gear here. Just to play it safe. Can't seem to take these corners in third gear. I was shooting for at least 150, but that's very obviously not going to happen.
Sector 2 time is good.
Good, but not great. Yours faster me, which means this is a slow lap.
That was 152.91.
Alright, let's see if we can... 151. Maybe that's a personal goal I can go to.
Time is good. Sector 3 time is quick.
As I barely make turn 1. Any chance of a 151 is pretty much dead. As I basically slowed to a crawl there. And yeah, just the frame rate of this game right now is not doing too great. You can probably see it yourself in the monitor, but it's just going crazy. I'm pretty sure it's like Power BI loading and all sorts of craziness. Or it's just my computer hasn't been restarted in a long time, but almost not worth putting anything together. Yeah. It feels like I'm playing Super Nintendo. Alright, let's see if we can hop back out. Maybe Power BI is the problem. Yeah, I do have 2 Power BI sessions open. That might be one of my issues. Let's go ahead and close this one. Oh man, there's that dreaded warning. Should I save it or should I not? And then we'll open up another one. Oh, that's actually just my browser. So do we have any more Power BIs open? No, we don't. Let's see if I can head back out to the desktop and close anything else. Steam, Sim, nope, everything I'm opening is needed. Let's see if I can close a few more things here. Okay. Let's see how this helps, if at all. Power BI is a memory hog, folks. If you are not familiar with the application, it wants all the memory it can get. For those of you familiar with databases, or Microsoft databases at least, Power BI runs basically a mini version of SQL Server analysis services inside of your computer. That is a platform that's normally run by a nice server with lots of RAM and lots of CPU, and Power BI decides it's going to run a contained version inside your machine, so it slows everything down. And no, that's not what we want to do. Maybe I should hold the brake down. Holding the brake, ladies and gentlemen, is the best way to make sure you don't spin out. Let's try that again. But of course, my entry speed is already slow, so my chances of putting together a really good lap are right there. There they are. As that green car fades away, that's me doing a faster lap time. Wow. Yep. That's a lap invalidated. I think we are good. We did a faster lap than our non-go setups, our standard setup, which is good. So I think we can call that mission accomplished. I'm gonna see how I feel at the end of this lap and maybe do one more. Already not feeling too good. Let's see if we can put together just one more lap. I don't spin out of this corner again. Wow. Just absolutely terrible. Just take it slow. Maybe if we just take it slow, something will happen. Nope, there I am again. Faster than I'm currently going. That's not how you take that corner. I almost went faster for a second. Did we invalidate our lap? No. So this is a clean lap. It's not a good lap, but it's a clean lap at least. see if we can make him use all the track to get some time back. Not terrible. I'm gonna do one more. One more. Let's see if we can actually put something together, please. Alright, I'm sticking with it at least. Hold on. I'm just 6/10 behind. Oh no. That's something I did not need to do.
Sector 2 is 0.25, slower than your best.
Is there anything we can put together in this last corner that'll give us a faster lap time? I don't think so, but we'll try. Oh, we're faster. But it's not enough. Oh no. Okay. I think we are good.
Off your best.
Hot lapping is addictive.
Sectors 1 and 3 are looking quick.
And I think we got what we came for, which is
off your best.
good data. So let's stick with that and call that a success. All right, we will quit. We don't need the replays. Those were embarrassing. All right, so let's head back out. We're actually going to quit the entire game. First, I'm going to make sure my session data is good. There it is. And we'll stop. Then we're going to quit the game itself. I think the game is causing lots of resource issues. So here are my 2 sessions in Sim Racing Telemetry. My fastest lap in one of them was a 153. And my fastest lap in the second one was a 152. All right. So now we will hop back into Power BI if we can get it open. Let's hover over this and see. I want the comparison. No, we did one that was a comparison. So let's go find that one. All right, welcome back to Data-Driven Sim Racing. Our Streamlabs decided to quit on us. So we are back and we're doing the second part of the video, or step 2, which is actually it's step 3. This is step 3 of the process, which is actually building our reports. So we're going to build some reports using the data that we've collected. I just had 2 sort of embarrassing sessions at Monza, one with a standard setup and one with a GoSetups.gg setup. And we're going to put them together. We're going to see the 2 setups compared against each other. And then we're also going to set up a Power BI report or a Power BI page on our report that looks at the actual track as a map. So let's go right in and see what that all looks like. I'm going to load the report that we worked on with our last session. Now, the last session, what we did was we added, let me go ahead and kill a couple other programs here just to make sure we run it just fine. Okay, so the last setup, the last stream, what we did was we actually compared several lap times from several sessions, but we compared them in the same exact report. So all we had to do was look at one page and we could see the differences in lap time, which ones were better, which ones were worse. And we got to see them all in one page, not have to skip back and forth between two different reports or anything like that. So we're going to refresh our data and make sure that this still works. But then we're also going to create a track map right here using our data that we just got from our sessions. So let's try to give that a shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at our two data sets that we have. During the last session, we re-imported one of our setups as a GoSetup, and we left our existing setup that's called standard setup. Those are two separate data sets. And last time we combined them both into one report. We're going to do that again this time. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually save this report as something else. We like the report. We just want to preserve the Nürburgring sessions as they are and just make a new one for Monza. So we'll just rename this one Monza. And it's still a setup compare. So we're going to keep that. And these are hot laps, not races, thankfully. I don't think I would have done too well if they were races. All right. So now that we have our setup report completed, we have our Monza report up here. We know it's our Monza report and we won't be disturbing anything about the Nürburgring report. I'm going to go ahead and look at these two data sets here and update them using our newest Sim Racing Telemetry data. So if I hop back into Sim Racing Telemetry, I'm going to open up my first session. I'm just going to click on the export button, which is on the top right, and then I'll say export to CSV. I'll wait for the prompt. There we are. And I'm going to steal a name from this last session I did with the Nürburgring. This was the standard setup. So I'm going to make sure that I borrow it from that. And I'm just going to change Nürburgring to Monza. And I will change the date to today's date. And we have our data saved. I'm going to do the same thing again for our later session, which we just did. That one has our fastest lap here. I'll export to CSV again. Wait for the prompt. Copy the name. And then we'll just change this to GoSetup. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you keep your titles or your file names as consistent as possible, because that will ensure that you don't have as many errors when you try to switch these data sets up in Power BI. So we're going to save this one. And we will check out the files in Notepad++. So I'm going to right click on the file, and that's actually happening off screen, but we can see our GoSetup right here. So here's the data we're looking at. It's tab delimited, as we're all aware if we've looked at Sim Racing Telemetry data before. So this looks great. I'm going to make sure that the standard setup file looks good as well. So I'll open that. And here it is, the standard setup. Everything looks good. So we're going to go ahead and open it with Power BI. First, you want to make sure you close the files if you opened them in Notepad++. Then you're going to find your GoSetup dataset, or whichever one, just as long as you know which one you're dealing with. I'm going to right click on that dataset, edit the query. And we can see that we're editing the hot lap for GoSetup. So what I'm going to do is find the applied step that has the source, and I'm going to find the source file here and update it to be Monza instead of Nürburgring. I'm also going to update the date. And when I click the checkbox, if the file is correct, I will see the new track. And here it is, the Monza track, and still the same car, but we know it's the Monza track. So that's great. I'm going to switch over here to the standard setup on the left. That one is still using the Nürburgring file. Here it is. If I go to applied steps and source. So I'm going to change that to be the Monza file. Then I'm going to change the date. I'm going to click the checkbox. And there we are. This changed to Monza as well. This data file here, the lap number, we do not need to change that. That one is okay. So we're going to keep that. Then we hit close and apply. Wait for the data to load. And hopefully all this screen will do is update with the latest data. I won't have to make any sort of changes to it. So let's see if that was the case. Yes, indeed it was. And we can see all of our data just updated for Monza instead of reflecting the Nürburgring, which was our prior session. Now we see it for the Monza data, the sessions that we just did. As you can see here, highest lap time was, let's see, for the standard setup, which is in orange, it was 2:23, which was just a slow and chill lap, as compared to the highest lap time that I did with the Go setup was 2:14. And I think that one I spun out, if I'm not mistaken. But you can see here, here's the lap, the first lap that I was faster in with the Go setup. It's a 1:53 compared to a 2:11. And we have a 1:52.5 as compared to a 1:53.8 and a couple other longer or faster laps. And as you can see, I did more laps with my Go setup than I did with my standard. So at the end here, I have nothing to compare it to on the standard setup side. But regardless, they were still better than my fastest lap with the standard setup. So overall, successful session. Maybe I need a little bit more practice on Monza, but overall, the Go setup definitely helped me out. You can also see the lap time deltas by lap here, which is great. If you hover over, you can see the specifics. And our grid here shows the average throttle, the average brake, all of them, which are higher with the Go setup, except for this lap here. But overall, we have a higher throttle, which means I'm keeping the throttle on longer. That's good. And for the brake, should be a little bit lower. I'm using less brake. Pretty cool. And you can see we have 4 laps at the very least that we did better on. We can also filter by each lap if we want to. So if we want to include certain laps, only the valid ones, for example, we can do so. Let's omit lap 2 and lap 1, and let's look at the middle laps only. We can see lap 5 and 6 is where I did better here. So I'm going to keep 5, 6. I'm going to remove 7. Lap 3 and 4, I did not do better. Here, if I want just the laps that I did better on, here they are. Lap 1, 2, 5, and 6 were my green laps up here in the grid. And you can see in the chart as well that they're just lower for purple, and the purple represents the Go setups. So that's all well and good. The goal of today is to get this map going. Why? Because it shows us how we're performing based on the physical track location. So here are the straights where I'm accelerating or I have the throttle pinned closer to 100%. Here's the turns where I'm letting off the throttle, I'm braking. Here's the pin throttle again. So let's recreate this together. And at the end, we'll throw in a little bonus, which is the sectors, where we can do sector 1, sector 2, and sector 3 divisions That's actually really, really easy, but it takes a special function. I do need to give a small warning that these sectors are actually dynamic sectors, meaning I divide the track into 3 parts dynamically. It uses the full track length. These are not the official sectors. Those may vary, and you'll need to pull that information from the FIA or whichever track has official records on the sectors. But these are dynamic sectors, and you don't have to do any manual entry to get them to work. So let's hop right in and let's give it a go. What I'm going to do is just spool up a blank page, and I'm going to go back to my comparison sheet because that one has a few things that I want to borrow. The first one is this filter on the lap number. So I'm going to bring that back and put it right here. I'm not going to sync because I don't want one page to affect another. So I'll choose don't sync. Then we're going to take a look at these world positions, which is how I found out how to do this map. So when I look at, let's use our Go setup. Hopefully that works out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through our Go setups, and I'm going to find these world positioned values. I'm just going to bring in X. And when you bring it in, it just does whatever default graphic it wants. What we want is a table to start off with. And even when you do a table, it kind of summarizes the value. That's not really what we want. We're going to right click here and we're going to say don't summarize. Then we're going to bring in world position Y right alongside it. We're going to right click and say don't summarize as well. The next thing we want is our lap distance. The lap distance is what we used here for our throttles. I think we actually have that somewhere else. Let's see. Lap times. Is it in lap times? Yes, right here. So when I click on a particular lap, I can actually see my throttle and brake inputs. Here's throttle pinned, and then my brake in red, then throttle again. That's probably turn 1, or at least my best attempt at turn 1. Then we can see that the throttle's pinned again, braking for a corner again. And whenever you see the throttle up at the very top, that just means I have it pinned, right? You can actually see the percentage as I go through the lap. Now this lap position is where I am on the lap itself. And so I need to use that in my chart here as well. So we're going to bring lap distance in, and we're going to choose not to summarize it. Now that I have this, what I want to do is think back to geometry class when you had coordinate planes. You had an X position and you have a Y position. So if you put them together on a line graph, you should be able to get a chart that somewhat resembles the track. So let's try that. I'm going to move this out of the way for now. And I'm going to bring a line graph or line chart into the visual area. We'll expand it a little bit. And then we'll bring in world position X to the X axis and world position Y to the Y axis. And something just looks off here. And you have to remember that these are lines. This is a line chart. Maybe it's just not the best way to represent our data. And when we remember, we have to remember that these are just points. Every single one of these records is a point. And there's a chart that actually helps us. That chart is the scatter chart. Now, I don't have to redo anything, although I can. I don't have to redo anything. As long as I have my x-axis and my y-axis, I should be okay to simply change that, just like I can change it to a bar graph. I can change it to a scatter chart. And the scatter chart doesn't seem to do us much good until you say right click here and don't summarize. But it doesn't seem to like it. So let's see what we did in our track map that was actually good. So we have a scatter chart, and it looks like we just used the wrong values. Oh, yep, that's all. So our y-axis stuck together fine, but our x-axis, when we had it in the chart, in the line chart, it was just x-axis and y-axis. And it looks like when I switched it, it kind of was a bit jarring to Power BI. So you want to watch that. What I'm going to do is open up scatter chart again. And I'm going to switch this values over to x-axis for x and switch this to y-axis for y. And if we say don't summarize, does that help? There it is. So you want to make sure that these values are not summarized. And you want to make sure these values are not summarized. And there you have it, a map of the track. But it's not really a drawn map. It's a map based on every single point. I'll show you what that looks like. Here's one point. Here's the very next point. And the next, and the next, and the next, etc. If I filter just on the points, you'll see each and every point that I experienced on the track. And when I release them all, it draws all of the points and they happen to resemble the track. So that's pretty cool. Now, how do I use this to get information other than how the track is designed? I think we all know how the track is designed. Well, from the laps I just did, you'd think I don't know, but I happen to know how the track is designed, and so do you. What you want to see is, let's say, your throttle inputs throughout your session. So all you have to do for that is go find your throttle, which is this data point here. You're going to drag it into the values area. And of course, that didn't work as well. Oh, okay. I see why it didn't work. The reason this doesn't work is because throttle is a text value here, it seems. Let's find out. Nope, it's a decimal number. Let's find out why this didn't work. We go back to our source here. We will see that we didn't need the throttle after all. Okay. All right. So we actually don't need the throttle here. What we need is to remove the throttle, and we need to set the colors based on the throttle position. Now, how do you do that? Well, if you look here, you'll see that I actually have different colors based on where my throttle is. And to do that, I used conditional formatting. Now, all I have to do to set the conditional formatting is right click on either the X or the Y. It should be. Nope, it's not on the X. Let's see if it's on the Y. Nope, not on the Y either. That's very strange. I'm having to look back here on this one to see what I actually did. Ah, okay. Now I understand. Okay. So one of the features that this chart happens to have, the scatter chart, is you're able to set your markers. Now you can change the type of your markers. If you want to make them lines, you can make them lines. If you want to make them X's, you can make them X's. There's just so many X's that it looks like I'm drawing. If you want to make them longer lines, you can. If you want to make them plus signs, you can. If you want to make them diamonds, there's diamonds. I like to keep them as simple circles. And what we're going to do is go down to the effects and look at the color. Now, for the color, you can set the default value to pink, or you can set the default value to red, or light red. But how do you get it to actually be dynamic based on a particular value? Well, the way I did it was I clicked on this function here off to the right. And here's where you get to decide what you want to affect the color. It tells you here, what field should we base this on? and I'm going to pick the GoSetups throttle. Here we are. And I'm going to pick 3 colors. So I'll add a middle color, and I'll say the first color is a very light red. The middle color is this slightly lighter yellow. And the highest value, or the max throttle, we're going to go get some green. So here's the green, and let's see how that looks. There we are. Now these are a little bit light. So what we're going to do instead, let's see if we can find what it was. What we're going to do instead is change the color. So we'll go back to our effects. We'll change the markers and the color as well, and we'll make it be a bit darker. So we're going to go again. We're going to choose our throttle. Maybe if I type it in, it'll actually be faster. There we are. We'll choose our lowest value, and I think from the other page, the lowest value was actually green. So we'll choose the lowest value as green, just to keep things consistent. We'll add a middle color, and that's yellow. And then our highest value, we'll put that as like a deeper red right here. And instead of sum of throttle, let's try maximum throttle. Hopefully that'll give us a little bit more definition. There we are. So now, actually, if we make this slightly bigger, let's make this wider up here and make this a little bit bigger. Now we can see all the points at which I had the throttle pinned down when I released it. And you can even see a few bits here. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more, but you can see a few bits here where I actually hit the throttle again a few times during the corner. That must have been me overcompensating for my brakes there. It's a bit odd to see bits of throttle pushed in as I'm braking. That's a bit odd, but that means I need to change my driving style a bit, and hopefully I can be more consistent and say, as I'm approaching the corner, I completely lift off the throttle and hit the brake, and I only touch the throttle again if it's a really long corner or if I'm ready to power out. Maybe that'll help me be a bit more consistent in my racing. All right, so we'll make this a bit smaller now. And there we have it. Now we have our track. Let's design this a little bit better, just so we can see everything and how it is. What I'm going to actually do is drag in the throttle as the max of throttle, and also the brake as max of brake. And we can actually see on any green, if we click on any green sections, we'll see that our brake was 100%. So here we were using 0 throttle and we were using max brake. And when I click outside, it actually shows everything again. So that's a really interesting way of seeing what your brake and what your throttle positions were at the time of a particular area of the track. So if I click here, for example, where it's yellow, I can see that I was about half throttle here, maybe getting on the power. And this is actually as I was making this turn, or as I was taking this corner, I was trying to power out, and I just had to delay way too long. Maybe this graph here can show me that what I can do is wait a little bit longer to get on the throttle and just be more consistent. So that's pretty cool. All right, so now all we have to do is make it look visually appealing, just like this page does. So let's do that. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to borrow this graphic here, because this is really good to show my brake and throttle positions. So I'm going to borrow this. I can actually delete this entire one, and you can keep that one if you'd like, but I think it's a bit too busy and a little bit too much information. So we'll cut and paste, or we'll copy and paste from my other visual. This though is very different because this is actually showing, if we hover over here, we'll see that it's showing our standard setup data. That's not actually what I want to show. Element Future. Hi, Element Future says, interesting to see Power BI to be used for this purpose. Usually I only see it at the office. Me too. Me too. I am a database and business intelligence professional. That is my day job, which pays for this. Thanks for following as well, Element Future. I really appreciate it. Usually I only use Power BI for reports for my organization. As I mentioned, I'm a business intelligence professional. I have about a decade in business intelligence altogether, in databases, and I've been using Power BI since about 2017. And I finally realized maybe a month ago or so that I could finally use it to blend sim racing and data analysis. So I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and hopefully it is content that you're enjoying as well. So thanks for following. So here we're gonna actually just make this a little bit better looking. So what we notice here is when we hover over, we will see our standard setup. I know it's a lot going on, but right after the word hot lap, we see standard setup. Standard setup is not what we're looking for in this. We have our graph, we have our scatter graph is actually set up for our Go setup. So we'll want to make sure that the data is consistent between the two. And we're going to change this lap distance, or everything in this chart, we're going to change it to be from our Go setups data set. So we have our lap distance, we're going to bring that in. And we'll remove this. And things are looking kind of weird until we switch everything over. So our max throttle is another thing we need to bring in. So let's go get our throttle. We'll bring that in, and we'll right click, change it to maximum. And we'll remove this. And then we'll look for our brake percentage as well. We'll bring our brake in, right click on it, set it to maximum, remove this old one, which is based on the standard setup. Make sure this is set to maximum, and then change the titles. We'll say throttle percent and brake percent. And there we are. Let's change these to match our graph down below. Sorry. Sorry, Element Future. Looks like your message got deleted there by SQLDevDBA, my moderator, but I'm trying to see if I can allow you to send that one. Long messages. Let's see if I can find the setting. Nope. Let's see. Maybe I could just turn off the shield mode here. Oh, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you stopping by, Element Future. Element Future says, no worries. Was about to say that I have to leave, but I'll check the stream at YouTube. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining. And yes, it will be on YouTube probably today or tomorrow. So please feel free to check it out, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. All right. So let's hop back in. All right. So what we want to do is make sure that these here match the colors down here. What you want is color consistency. If you don't have color consistency, you're just going to have very, very confused users. Cool stuff. And thanks for the insight, says Element Future. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. So we want to change this to be red for throttle. We have red for throttle. If you want to use another color like blue, that's absolutely fine. Some folks associate red with bad. So if you want to use green instead and flip it to be red when you're braking and green when you're on throttle, that's cool. No problem. I'm going to set it to red for throttle here. So I will click on the visualization format. I'll click on the lines and I'll change the colors. For brake, it'll be green. So we're going to find our green, make it a light one. Not so much. There we go. Here's a, that's a, no, that one. Okay. We'll use that green and then we'll change the throttle to be red. And there we are. Now our throttle actually matches. So you can see this is the start of Monza right here. Here's the main straight. Oh, yep, there we go. You can see this is the main straight. Oh, my computer decided to slow down a bit. And you can see that the throttle actually matches what the visualization down below says. So that's pretty cool. Now we're going to go back to the track map and we're going to borrow a few visual tweaks from it. So we have track position Y and track position X. We're going to copy those and we'll make sure that our graph actually depicts what we're trying to say. So we have our track position X and track. Oh, let's double click here. Track position Y is what we want to name them. And then we have maximum of throttle. That's okay. I don't think we need these labels because what we're trying to depict here is a map. And so we'll go ahead and remove those labels. To do so, we'll go to the format. We'll go to the Y-axis and we'll turn off the title. And we'll do the same thing for the X-axis. Actually, just did the X-axis, about to do the Y. So there we go. Now we have a lot more space. If you wanted to, you could actually just remove the values as well. So I'll go back to X-axis and turn off the values. And now we have a bit of a cleaner grid here. That's pretty cool. So we'll keep this grid a little bit cleaner. And what I want to do is give this a nice old background so everything fits together. So I'll click on this one that we copied over and go to Effects and go get the color for it. So I'll borrow this hex code for the color. And instead of having to paste it, when I click on my other one, it should actually be available for me. So let's make sure that that's the case. Yep, here it is. When I click on the color, my recently used colors comes up with that one. So it matches perfectly. So we're going to shrink the size here a little bit. I'm going to shrink this too. And it looks like it's not letting us. So let's see if we can shrink. There we go. Shrink this, make this a little bit wider. We want rounded edges on this one, so we'll do that. My computer has decided it's going to be very slow for the time being. And it doesn't let me pinpoint this visualizations. There we are. All right, so we're going to go to Format. We're going to go to General and Effects, and we'll turn on the visual border. We'll make it the same color as the background, and then we'll switch the rounded corners to 10. And now we have rounded corners in our visual. So now we have a bit of a cleaner look. We're going to borrow from our other pages. Really, any other page has this. We're going to borrow these top visuals up here. So we'll select them, copy them, and we will paste them here. And we need to get the banner as well. It looks like my zoom level is actually a bit too much. So there we go. That's a little bit better. So we're going to grab the banner, copy that, and then we're going to paste it here. Then we're going to make sure that it's not on top. So what we do is go to the view and the selection pane, and we'll make sure that the banner is all the way at the bottom so that it doesn't interfere with any of these visuals. I want to make sure that that's the case everywhere. So we'll actually view, and the banner needs to be all the way down here, all the way at the bottom. There we are. So we're going to name this track map 2. And we're going to do a little bit of cleanup. Make sure that this is a little bit bigger. Set our zoom level a little bit better. There we are. Okay, so you'll notice that there's a little bit of a blank space there. Why? Well, the reason for this blank space is because that's where I put my sector. I'm going to save really quick just because Power BI is acting a little bit finicky. I want to make sure I can save my work. I want to retain my sanity. So, sectors. Let's talk about sectors. Normally, we have a track divided into 3 parts. I am actually not 100% sure if the tracks are divided into equal parts. I haven't done enough research into that. But what I can say is we're going to imagine that all tracks are divided into 3 equal parts. I assume due to corners that they're not, because it'd be really weird to have a sector cut off in the middle of a corner. But what we're going to do is imagine that they're divided into 3 equal parts. That makes it way easier to dynamically get sectors. What we're going to do is we're going to find the sector information or the lap distance information and create some sectors seemingly out of thin air. So I will go ahead and start up a new page and we'll call that sector test 2. And what I'm going to do is get the lap distance and start playing around with that. Now, lap distance, as I mentioned here, is just the portion of the lap. Lap distance is what's shown here as well. Depending on how far along you are on the track, it'll actually map out your coordinates using world X and world Y. So when we talk about lap distance, what we're actually talking about is a set of numbers. When I click Don't Summarize here, a set of numbers from 0 or -1 when nothing exists, all the way up to, there we go, 5792.13. And they have, let's see, I think there's like a track length. Sim Racing Telemetry also gives you track length. And that, when we put it in the grid, is just a consistent value. And I'll say maximum 5793. So we have the length of the track from 0 to 5793. What can we do with that? Well, we can divide 5793 into 3 equal parts. The first third of 5793 will be sector 1, the second portion will be sector 2, and the portion leading up to the actual 5793 value, that'll be sector 3. Element Future says, I recorded the spline position for each sector transition for my app. That is really cool. That's very cool. I like that. And Element Future also says, gave you a follow at Twitter. Race Element, thank you. You'll figure it out. What I did for ACC. Anyhow, good night and good day. Thank you. Like I said, it's open source and licensed under GPL 3. Element Future also says, thank you. I will check it out. I really appreciate it. Have a great evening to you as well, and a good night. Hope you get some rest. Thanks again. Cheers. Thank you. All right, so we will go and create our sectors. So let's hop in and create. What we're going to do is we're going to look at our GoSetup. It's the main data set that we're working with. It's our GoSetup. So we'll right click on GoSetup and we'll create a new column. So when we create our new column, it'll ask us for a definition of that column. So right click, create new column. And there we are. We have a blank column. We're going to call this sector. And the formula that we're going to build is basically just telling Power BI, hey, number one, go get the full length of the track. Number two, divide that into 3. And number 3, based on what portion of the track the current lap distance is at the moment, place a sector value on it. So let's get to work. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to declare a couple variables. The first variable is going to give us the full length of the track. So we're going to call that full track length. And that equals the maximum value of lap distance. And we'll want to make sure that when we're using IntelliSense, we pick the GoSetup. We're always going to use our GoSetups value. So our lap distance from GoSetup. So that's our full track length. You can also, as you just saw, you can also just use the value that is the track length. That's absolutely fine to do. That's actually better because it's a more constant and consistent value. Let's actually do that right now. We're going to use the track length. There it is. And we're making sure that we're still on our GoSetup. So Monza's track length, we're going to use that. Then we're going to declare another variable, and we're going to call that current lap position. And that's going to be equal to the lap distance value. Now we could just keep using lap distance. We don't actually have to create a variable for it, but it's just a lot easier to work with a defined name like current lap position than it is to retype lap distance over and over and have it be a little bit cleaner. That's also nice. Then we're going to create a variable called sector length. And that is where we divide our sectors. And again, we're doing this for 3 equal parts. Not every track is 3 equal parts, at least officially, but dynamically here for our project, we are doing it for 3 equal parts. So the sector length is 0 plus the full track length, which we have up there defined, divided by 3. Now, I use 0 plus because if this happens to return an error, this division, I can still add 0 to it and it won't be like error or blank or anything. There's multiple ways to do this. You could also do, like, if you're familiar with Excel, there's if error. You can wrap everything into an if error and say 0 here, and that hopefully will work. No, it decided not to. So I'm not going to do that because it's worked out for me, but you can add whichever error handling functions you want to add here. So next, we're going to get the sector limit. Now, sector 1 limit is, we're going to type that out, sector 1 limit equals 0, and you'll see me looking off to the left. I designed this function earlier so that I could explain it while I build it instead of trying to figure it out as I go. So the first sector, let's define the first sector. And what we're actually defining is the length of sector 1 here. So we're going to say 0 because our track starts at lap position 0. We're going to say 0 plus our sector length. That's sector 1. Next, we're going to define sector 2. We'll say var sector 2 limit equals what, and here's where we start to get dynamic. We're actually going to use sector 1 limit plus however long a sector is. So we actually start at sector 1 and add however many units up to the length of sector 2's end. Then we define sector 3 limit. Sector 3 limit equals the length of the track, the final value. So full track length, the final value. So from 0 to whatever 5793 is divided by 3, it's going to be sector 1. For that middle portion, it's going to be sector 2. And then for the last third, it's going to be sector 3. So our final variable that we're going to create is the value that actually tells you which sector you're on. So to do that, we're going to say var sector equals, and then we'll have an if statement. Our if statement is going to say if the current lap position is less than sector 1's limit, then sector 1. And you can see the pop-up actually tells you how to define this if function. So it's what are you checking, what you want the result to be if true, and then what you want the result to be if false. If you have ever done functions in Excel, or formulas in Excel, this is exactly pretty much the same thing. In fact, Power BI is based off of Excel. So if you're confident in Excel, please feel free to be confident in Power BI. It's not very much different. We'll hit a comma here, and our false will actually be another if statement. So we're going to have nested if statements. So if the current lap position is less than or equal to the limit of sector 2, then we want to say sector 2. And if neither of those are the case, we're going to indent one more time to show it's nested. We're going to say if current lap position is inside of sector 3, so less than or equal to sector 3 limit, then we're going to say sector 3. And we want to have one final one. That's like if everything is false. And we'll say unknown sector. And then we'll close this. You'll see the last if statement got highlighted. And we'll close it one more time and one more time. And that closes out our sector. Then we're going to do a final statement, and that's going to tell it to return the sector. Every other variable that we declared here was for a particular reason. This is the actual one we're returning, the very last variable that we created here. So I'm going to put some comments into this because I had some clean comments that I wanted to make sure I communicated as well. So I'll just copy those. So now we're copying the standard sector length. If my mouse decides it wants to cooperate, which it doesn't at the moment. Nope. See if I can grab my little mobile desk here. That might make things a little bit easier. Hopefully. All right, there we are. So we're going to grab our sector length. We'll get sector 1. And then we will get sector 2. And finally, sector 3. And here's our comment to say, use an if statement to determine if the value is in the first, second, or third sector. So that's it. That's all there is to that function. Let's see if we can commit it. We're going to click the checkbox. It's not giving us any errors. That's a good sign. So we're going to collapse this so it goes away. And then all we have to do to check it is just add the sector right here to the lap distance that we're at. So we're going to start here and we're going to sort it by ascending order so that we can see the race as we go. And you can see that once I remove my search here and just search for sector, I'll just drag it into this table and we can see sector 1. Now, it's going to take me quite a while to get down into sector 2. So what I'm going to do instead is click in this white space and add a slicer and drag sector into the slicer. And we will be able to select sector 1, and we can select sector 2, and then sector 3. Now, I made a mistake here with sector 1, so let me fix that really quick. I want to make sure that everything is consistent. So we're going to add a space here in sector 1. And when we fix that, everything should be sorted just fine. There we are, sector 1, sector 2, and sector 3. So we know those work. Now let's apply it back to our map. Let's see if it'll work in our favor here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. It already has all the formatting I needed. It already has the background. I'm very lazy and I want to be consistent. So what I'm going to do is copy it and then paste it right below itself. Then I'm going to change a couple things about this. I want it to be 3 rows because I don't have as many buttons as I'm going to have here. So I'm going to go to the formatter. And if you're looking for how to build this particular slicer, it's in one of my prior videos. In fact, if you're watching it on YouTube, like I'm going to do the cool hand pointing thing, like you'll see the video right there. I'm just pointing at nowhere right now, but hopefully I do some cool editing to get the video to show up. So once I add this, I'm going to go to the formatting area. I'm going to go to effects. And nope, it's actually in layout. So in the layout, I'm going to say I want 3 rows and 1 column. So now I'll be able to easily put sector 1, 2, and 3 right here, and I'll have plenty of space. So I'm going to change this to be sector instead of lap. And now we have sector 1. There's sector 1. Sector 2. There's sector 2. And sector 3. There's sector 3. If you want 2 sectors at a time, so if you would just want to analyze sector 1 and 3, you can do so as well. If you just want to analyze sectors 1 and 2, you can do so as well. The cool thing about being able to analyze a sector at a time is you get so much more detail here. You get so much more detail and you're able to see things a lot more clearly than you would if you just have all of the data in front of you. So that's a pretty cool way of being able to divide your lap into specific portions. If I just want to concentrate on what I'm doing wrong in sector 1, which is very obviously here, I'm allowing too much throttle at the end of my turn. When I brake, I need to brake later and I need to commit to the brake. And that's it. Not let off randomly. And when I'm ready for the throttle, that's when I get on the throttle. But it looks like I'm just messing around here, which I need to fix. And that's a great way to see that. Sector 2 analysis, it looks to be roughly the same. I have trouble in these 2 corners here, which was evident from our prior session if you were watching. So I'm going to do my best to fix them here. It looks like I'm just like on and off the throttle right here. And I'm just on and off the throttle here as well. I need to brake, commit, and then just get on the throttle as soon as I can and hope I don't spit out. The Porsche itself that I'm driving, it's very temperamental in the way that it doesn't like it doesn't seem to like too much input. It's very finicky. So I normally can control that, but in Monza, I'm apparently not very good at controlling that. And then sector 3, same here. It looks like I'm having some trouble here where I'm getting on and backing off the throttle all the time here in this corner specifically. I need to fix that. Parabolica, looks like I'm having some trouble here. And you can actually combine sectors and laps. That's the cool thing too, is if I just want to analyze lap 2, how did my lap 2 go? Because if you remember, lap 2, let's see if I can find it. Was it 153? Which one was my best Go setup lap? Lap 5. So let's take a look at lap 5 in our map. That's not the one. This one. Let's take a look at lap 5. What I want to do is try to mimic more of this. So that's the great thing about this type of reporting, is it allows you to look at your best lap at a glance and maybe even look at your best sector and go, man, I need to do more of that. And that's what I want to do, is make sure that I look at my best lap times and improve on them, or even my best sectors and improve on those, instead of paying any sort of attention to what I'm doing not so correctly. And speaking of that, what I'll actually want to do is look at this peak as well. This was a good setup, but it's my highest lap time. I need to see what I'm doing wrong in lap 7. You can just as easily learn from your bad laps in this report as you can from your good laps. Here you can see all of the inconsistencies throughout the corner. You can see how late I need to start braking, rather than what I'm doing here, which is like brake, release, brake, release, brake, release kind of thing. That shouldn't be the case. I need to commit. So it allows you to see your really good laps and also your really bad laps to see what you can do better. All right, I think that's it. I think what I'm going to do is try to put a little bit more lap time into Monza here and see if I can improve my lap times, not just from setups, but actually relearning the track. If I remember correctly, the last time I raced at Monza was actually an Automobilista with a multi-class session, and I think in a Formula car. And if I remember correctly, I set it to be like an overnight race, and the Formula cars don't have headlights. So that was a bit of a debacle during the overnight portion of that race, because I'm pretty sure I went off the track a couple of times. So it would be neat to actually take a look at those in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go collect more data, and then I'm going to have some lunch, because I think it's about time to eat. So I really appreciate you hanging out. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. Take care.